¿Qué es la que hay, mi gente? Welcome to Virtual Math Master, so you'll never do math alone again. I'm your favorite host, Master Cruz, and today we're going to dig deep into one-step equations. We're entering the equations world, and the goal here is to isolate the variable, right? You're given an equation, you want the variable by itself, and like everything in math, this follows a pattern. If you are able to understand the pattern, it doesn't matter what numbers or what signs you're given, you will be able to solve every single one-step equation, right? So remember, I'm your personal teacher, so here we go. What's the pattern? Ask, why is the variable not by itself? And on that side of the equal sign, and use the inverse operation to cancel the number. So here we go. Let's do it. Let's jump into it. Example 1. So let's actually leave a little bit of that. Example 1 says x plus 7 equals 10. Well, the first thing is to ask yourself, why is the variable not by itself on that side of the equal sign? And the reason is, here's the equal sign, I'm on the left, because we're adding 7 to x. So we got to do the inverse, right? Use the inverse operation to cancel it. So if we're adding, the inverse operation will be to subtract. So we're going to subtract 7 from both sides, right? Because we add it, then we're subtracting, and you bring down the x because it's not simplifying with anything. My equal sign stays aligned. Look at that. Actually, the first thing that I bring down is the equal sign, and then I simplify. Positive 7 minus 7, that just goes to 0 because 7 minus 7 is 0, so it's gone, it's canceled. I don't write anything here. And then simplify 10 minus 7, that gives me 3. Now when I look at x is by itself on the left-hand side, so it's just that easy. I just solved for x. Okay. Example 2. Example 2, same idea. We follow exactly the same pattern, right? Why is the variable not by itself on that side of the equal sign? So this time the variable is on the right-hand side. So I don't care about anything on the left-hand side. I only look at the right-hand side. And I notice that m is not by itself because it's being subtracted by 10. So the inverse operation at 10. And what I do on one side, I better do it on the other so that I keep my equation aligned, balanced. Sorry, so the equal sign stays aligned right here. And then 5 plus 10, when I simplify, it just gives me 15. The m comes down. You just bring it down because there's nothing to simplify with that. And then negative 10 plus 10 gives me 0. Now, notice that I actually read it and I say negative 10 plus 10. Because if I made a mistake and I put minus 10 down here, then negative 10 minus 10 does not cancel. So do not put 0. That will be negative 20, right? So I cannot just cancel it. So that's a way to double check my answer. And that's it. 15 equals m. M is by itself, and it's just that easy. These are one-step equations. They're not that bad. Example 3, check it out. Example 3 says 4x equals negative 12. So how can I get rid of that 4, right? Because the first thing is, look at the side of the equal sign. We're on the left-hand side right now. That's where the variable is. And x is not by itself because it's being multiplied by 4, right? When you have a number next to a variable, that means multiplication. So what is the inverse operation of multiplication? Well, that will be division, right? So we're going to divide both sides by the number with the variable, which is 4, because we want x by itself. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so it just goes away, and then it cancels. You get x equals negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. Now, it is important that you know why it's negative 3. So if you're not sure why it's negative 3 and not positive 3, go back and check my video about multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. You could also do the same thing with adding and subtracting negative and positive numbers so that you understand the rules of the integers, because that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to show you as fast as possible how can you solve one-step equations. Let's do the last possibility, all right? Example 4. Example 4 brings the fraction, all right? So what you have to remember, because people sometimes get scared of the fraction, don't be scared of the fraction. Master Cruz is telling you, don't be scared of the fraction. It's just division. Fraction is division. So we do the inverse, the opposite. X is not by itself on that side of the equal sign because it's being divided by 3. So what's the opposite of division? Well, I think you guessed it, multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. If I do this, then this 3 will cancel with whatever my denominator is. I'm multiplying by the denominator, and x equals 6 times 3, 18. That's my answer. Now, the reason why I have it written on the other side as well, it's because there's different ways to do the same type of problems. It doesn't matter how you choose to do it. Here's a different way that other people choose to do it. And it's actually, a lot of students like it. When you have a denominator, all you got to do is multiply the denominator times whatever the number is on the other side. So if I go like this and I say, okay, how much is 3 times 6? Well, I bring down my x, and 3 times 6 is 18. That's the answer. That's not the only way, or the only way that you can see that problem. You can see the same problem written like this: 1/3 x equals 6. So this looks different, but it's actually the same thing because in front of the x, there is a 1. So if you get a fraction that doesn't look like this, it looks like this, the process is still the same. You multiply times the denominator, right? You bring down the numerator, but it's just an x, and 3 times 6 is 18. So I hope that that makes sense, that these two are exactly the same. It means that x is being divided by 3. One last mention is that you can double check all these answers by plugging in the answer back into the original problem. So I'm only going to do it with the first one. I found out that x equals 3. So I could take this 3 and plug it back into the original problem. If I do that, instead of having x plus 7 equals 10, I will have that 3 plus 7 equals 10. And I just simplify on the left-hand side. It looks like 3 plus 7 is 10, and that will equal 10 because it gives me a true statement. On the left, I get 10, and on the right, the equation is telling me that the answer is also 10. 10 equals 10, so that's a true statement. If you were to get two different numbers here, then there's a mistake. Your answer is wrong. So that's all for today. If you want to join our community and learn more about math and be able to do your homework and understand things when you can't, come on, join our community at virtualmathmasters.com. If this video helped, like, comment, subscribe. You'll never do math alone again. All the help that you need is in one place. Join our community. All right, helps a lot. Homework help, live community tutoring sessions. If you have a test coming up, we could review with you. Weekly live calls. It's an amazing community with great students. So join us and have a good one. I'll see you next time.